custom exceptions or user defined exceptions. So what do we mean by a custom exception or a user defined exception? So the exceptions which we need to define explicitly, we can define our own exceptions. Let me show you people how to create our own exception. Okay. Yes. But okay, before that, let me also talk, also explain you people why we need a custom exception. So far we saw that in the API we got predefined exception classes. Okay, in the API we got predefined exception classes. But you know, this predefined exception classes, you'll find that sometimes of a few requirements, for few business requirements, the predefined exception classes may not be, you know, suitable, I can say. Yes. There can be situations here where we may need to define our own exception class as per the business requirements. As per the business requirements, we may need to define our own exception class. Yes. For example, here, you know, again, I'm going to consider this withdraw method. So when we talk about this withdraw method, you see, you will find that we implement this business rule where we check for the minimum balance here, right? Yes, we check for minimum balance. So this business rule, you see, actually you'll find that if the user is if user is trying to withdraw the amount more than what they got in their balance, if the user is trying to withdraw the amount more than what they got in their account, that is an exceptional case, I can say, as per the business requirements. It is an error. It's an exceptional case as per the business requirements, I can say. Yes, it is an exceptional case, right? It's an error condition. Uh, Someone has to mute the mic because there is a lot of echo. Okay, so that is an error as per the business requirements. That is actually an error according to the business requirements. But according to Java, that is not at all an error. Java, it doesn't treat it as an error. If the balance, if the withdrawal amount is more than balance, if the withdrawal amount is more than balance, you will find that it is considered as a error condition as per the business requirements of the bank. Yes, as per the business rules, it is of course an error condition, right? Yeah. Okay. But for this error, you see, we don't have any exception class, right? Because Java at first place it doesn't identify it as an error. Okay, this is not at all an error according to Java, right? So for that, for there's a reason why Java doesn't provide any kind of exception class for this error condition. Yes, but I would like to, make it an exceptional case. I would like to throw an error when this takes place, when the user is trying to withdraw more than what they got in their balance, then I would like to raise an exception for that. So what to do now? So what do people think? What are we supposed to do? Yes. What do people think? What are we supposed to do? But we don't have an appropriate exception class for this type of error. You got the point, all of you? For this type of error, we don't have an appropriate exception class. Am I right? So now for this situation, we need to create our own exception class. Okay, we have to define our own exception class for this. Let's do that. So let's say insufficient funds exception. So I'm just defining this class. As of now, this is just a normal Java class. So let me make it an exception class. Okay, so I can do this. Extends one of the exception classes. Make this class extends one of the exception classes in order to make it an exception class. Yes. Okay. Now this class I can say that it is an exception class. So it extends one of the predefined exception classes here. Okay. So now, whenever this condition fails, I want to throw that error. That means when user is trying to more than withdraw more than what they got in their account, I'll just raise an exception here. What is that exception? Insufficient funds exception. So what we are doing, basically we are creating an exception object. Okay, we are creating an exception object here. That means just like the exception object is also just like any other Java object. The only thing is it represents an error. The specialty of this object is it represents an error. Okay, fine. Now why do we use this throw clause here? Yes. Why do we use this throw clause? Why do we use this throw clause? Throw. Why do we use this throw? What it does basically throw. No, I explained it. Throw is used to hand over this using the throw clause. I can say that we are just simply handing over this exception object to the runtime system. We're just passing this exception object to the runtime system. Using the throw clause, we're passing this exception object to the runtime system, I can say, which in turn takes this exception object and will search for the exception handler in this method as of now. Yes. Okay. Hope you people got it. And I can say that in other words, we are reporting this error. We are trying to report this error. Throwing an exception means we are reporting an error. That okay, there is an error. There is an error in this line. That is what it means. Yes. Okay. Fine. So this is how we can define our own custom exceptions, exception classes as per the business requirements, and you can make use of them. Okay. Yes. So once again, I'll repeat it. You see why we need custom exceptions, because you see few conditions as per the business requirements, they are treated as errors. Few conditions, okay, as per the business requirements, they are treated as error, but as per Java, they are not errors. So because according to business requirements, they are considered as errors. So we need to define the appropriate exception class to represent that error condition. Yes. Okay, fine. Now you see this exception class which we have defined here, it is what type of exception? the exception class which we have defined here. So it is what type of exception? So what do you people think? It is what type of exception? I mean, okay, yes, I do agree it's a user-defined exception. Again, we broadly classify the exceptions into two types, right? Checked exception and unchecked exception. Now, this exception type, is it a checked exception or unchecked exception? What do people think? Okay, so how can we say that it's a checked exception? What are checked exceptions actually?
It is an exception that must either be declared or either caught in a method.
No. I gave you people a couple of definitions for this, if you
Oh,
remember. You know, if a given exception is a runtime, yes, yes, that's right. Karthik is right. So if a given exception is a runtime exception, or if it is a subtype of runtime exception, then it is an unchecked exception. If a given exception class is a runtime exception class or a subtype of runtime exception. Subtype means a subclass of runtime exception. Then we can say it's a unchecked exception. Okay. So in this case, you see insufficient funds exception, this user defined exception, it extends runtime exception. So I can say it is a unchecked exception itself. Got it? And and what about checked exceptions? Which exceptions are considered as checked exceptions? Even for that, I gave you people a statement. Okay, I do agree. That's right. We have to explicitly handle checked exceptions. But how do we say whether a given exception class is a subtype of sorry, how do we say whether a given exception class is a checked exception? So, you know, except runtime exception and its subtypes. If a given exception class is not a runtime exception, and if it is not a subtype of, yes, that's right. So, if it is not a subtype of runtime exception, or if it is not a runtime exception, then it is a checked exception. Okay, yes. So that is how it works. This is about custom exceptions. So with this, I'll close this exception handling and we'll move on. Today, I'll start with a new topic. Did I talk about date class? Oh, no, we didn't. So let's do that. So how do we handle dates in Java? That is what I'm going to teach you people today. A date, generally, in order to handle a date in Java, you got a date class, which is in java.util package. Now let me show you people how to read the system date and time. Okay, let's see how to read system date and time here. So if you want to read the system date and time, then you need to instantiate the date class this way. We need to instantiate the date class here. So, you know, when we instantiate this date class, by default, the current system date and time will be stored in this date object. And the toString method of the date object is overridden such a way that it returns that content stored in that date object. It returns the string representation of that date. It returns the string representation of date. Yes. So run this code. You see, but you see the date here. Uh, this is a standard format in which the date is displayed. But what if I want to display the date according to my own format? Then what to do? Yes. Okay. So in this case, we have to format the state according to our requirements. In which format you want to display the date. So in that format, we can convert the state into that particular format here. Okay. Yes. So in order to format the dates, especially in order to format the dates here, we got a class called as simple date format. So this class, it is in which package? This class, it is in which package? Simple date format class. What do you see here? It is in java.text package. Have you noticed it? So please remember this, very important. So it's Java in it is in java.text package. Okay. So now it helps us to format the date. So I'll do this. So I'll instantiate this class and I'll specify the pattern ddmmy format. Yes. Okay. So this way we have to create a simple date format class object and you have to pass the pattern in which pattern you want the date to be displayed. In which pattern you want the date to be displayed, that pattern you have to pass it here. And then in the simple date format class, we got a method called as format. Call this method and pass that date object reference. Pass that date object reference here. That's it. Now the format method, what it does, it will format the date, converts the date into that desired format in that desired pattern, and returns the string representation of the date. It returns the string representation of the date. You'll get it in the string format. It stores it in a string object and returns it. And say formatted date. Okay. So now that converted date, formatted date is in that string object. Let's try to display it. Okay. Yes. So I'll run this code. You see, 14/9/2015. So remember one thing, you see, here we have to use caps M, uppercase M, not smaller case m. If you want month, you have to use uppercase M. Smaller case m is used for minutes, not for month. Okay, smaller case m is used for minutes. Okay, now what if I want to read that hours, the time, not hours, I'm sorry. I want to read the time. So you can do this. HH is mm and SS. Hours, minutes, and seconds. So in this format, just you have to pass that pattern in which pattern you want that time to be displayed. H for hours, M for minutes, S for seconds. Okay. Fine. Now, if you want, you can display both date and time together. Okay. You can just do this dd mm yy. It displays both date and time. We got both date and time. Okay. Now you see, we are reading the system date and time, right? What if I want to store my own date, user defined date? Okay. How to pass that user defines date and store it into the date object? Okay, storing the user defined date in the date object. So for that, we should not directly instantiate the date class. Okay, don't directly instantiate the date class. Instead, you have to use this simple date format class object itself. You have to use simple date format class object itself. Yes. So after instantiating this simple date format class object, now you can use it to pass the date. Now you see one more thing. So in which format you want to pass the date? In which format you want to pass the date? So that date format you have to specify. So I would like to pass it in this format itself. Let's say ddmm by minute. Okay. Yes. So I'll now I'll use this method called as parse, and I'll pass the date in that format. You have to pass it in that format itself. Let's say 12 5 2010. Let's say. So so in this format, I'm passing the date to the parse method. Okay, there is an error. I want you people to check this error and tell me what's the problem. Why we are getting this error and what do we do here? Yes, what are we supposed to do? So this method actually it throws a checked exception. It says unhandled exception type checked exception. It's type parse exception. I'm sorry. It's a checked exception. So if it is a checked exception, it's a checked exception. It means it says we are not handling this exception actually. It says we are not handling this exception. So this method throws a checked exception. Either use try catch block to handle it or use throws clause. Okay. So I will add this parse exception. Okay. So now you see once I've added the throws clause, the error has vanished. So parse method, what it does, it will take the date in that string format in that specified pattern and converts it into a date object. In turn, straight away it returns a date object reference here. That's it. Yes. So we are not explicitly creating the data object. In turn, this parse method is going to do that for us. Okay. So parse method is going to do that for us. Yes. So let me display this date here. Okay. Now, what do people think? So if I display the date, so in which pattern, so the date will be displayed, what do you people think? In which pattern, so we'll get this date. So it will display it in the standard format itself, not in this format. Okay. Yes. So not in that format, not in DDMM by format. You see. So it displays the date in this format, standard format itself. So what if I want the date to be displayed in that format, in that user in the DDMM by format? What are we supposed to do? Yes. So what do people think? What are we supposed to do? Just now we saw that, right? So if you want to display that date in that DDMM by format, what to do? So we have to use format method, format method, and pass the date object. Now what the format method does? It will convert the date into the pattern which we have specified, and returns that date. You see, where we have mentioned the pattern here, you see we are passing it to the constructor while instantiating the simple date format class. While instantiating the simple date format class, you're passing that pattern, right? You're passing that pattern. Got it? So let me run this code. Yes. Okay. So next, when we talk about dates, so it is also important to know about another class called as calendar. Okay, calendar. We got another class called as calendar. What do we mean by calendar? Generally, what is the meaning of calendar? Yes, calendar means yes. Calendar, you'll find that yes, it represents that days, months, you know, weeks, years. So all that information will be wrapped in this calendar object. Okay. So let's try to read this details. Once I'll show you people how it looks like. But so far what we did, date and simple date format classes, hope you people got it right. Okay, now let me just check with you people once what you understood. What exactly simple date format is doing here before we move on to the calendar. Once I want to check with you people. What exactly simple date format is doing here. So it helps us to format the date. It helps us to format the dates. You see, we are able to format it according to the given pattern and we are able to display it. Yes, okay. Also, it helps us to, provide the user, provide the data according to the user defined pattern. Okay, yes, okay, fine. That is what the simple date format does. And date class, it is used to store a date. From now on, try to use date class wherever it is needed. Okay, yes. Now let's see calendar. Calendar is actually in the util package itself. It's an abstract class, and you will obtain a calendar class object reference this way, calling get instance method. So get instance method is defined in the calendar class, and it is actually user defined method. Sorry, it's a static method. It is actually a static method. Okay, it's a static method. So it returns the calendar class object reference. Yes, just a minute. Sorry. So the calendar object Now it holds that details. So let's read the details here from the calendar object. Now that details here, we can read them. For example, let's say day of the week. This is what day of the week? This is what day of the week? So you see, I can use this calendar object reference called the get method and pass this constant variable day of week. Pass this constant variable day of week. So what it does, it returns the day of the week. Yes, what day of the week it is? Let's see. People got doubts, huh? In this regard also. Day of the week is 2. So week starts with Sunday, huh? Okay, 1, 2. This is the second day of the week, right? Yeah. So next, this is what day of the month. You see, this type of information is stored in this calendar object. So this is what day of the month. Let's see. Day of the month. Sorry, day of the month is, just a minute. Let me display all this information. Okay, day of week, day of month, day of year, and let's say month of the year. So day of month, for day of month, you got this constant variables. So basically, you see this day of week, day of month, and then we got day of year and month of year. Just say month. That's it. So for only we'll have months for years, right? Yes. See, what are this day of week, day of month, day of year, month? These are all constant variables. Okay, final status. They are static variables. I can say they are static variables. Yes. So let me run this code. You see, day of the week is 2, day of the month is 14, day of the year is 257, month of the year is 8. This way, we can read the information here, all the calendar details. Okay, so is it clear for you people? Just check this once again. Okay, so today I would like to wrap it little early. Okay, uh, most of them has joined little late today. Please go through this. So today I've discussed about date class and we have gone through simple date format class and we are going through calendar class. I'm not yet completely done with it. Calendar and simple date is in text package. And the other topic which we discussed is custom exceptions. So these are the things which we discussed. So please go through the records. People who have joined late. So we have discussed about calendar. We have yet to we have got few more things to tell you people in the calendar. And calendar helps us to manipulate the dates and all. Okay, so once you're comfortable with calendar, so you will be able to calculate age of a person. Okay, compare the dates. So all such things will be, you will be able to do it once you're comfortable with calendar. Okay, yes, calendar is most important one to manipulate dates. So we need calendar again. Yes, so you'll see, we'll learn how to calculate age and all. Yeah. So in the next class, I'll be teaching you people how to calculate the age and all. So compare the dates, and then next we are going to start with IO streams. Okay. Yes. So I got a plan. I thought of doing this. So why don't we create a WhatsApp group uh, so that we can be in touch. If you got any issues or doubts, you can contact me through WhatsApp, and even your doubts, others can see your doubts, and if you got any issues, even you can just post them. If others are able to clarify them, that should be a good thing, right? So, but I don't, I can't take the responsibility of creating this group. I want someone else to do this. So, is anyone interested in doing this? Let me know. Who will create this group? So, for that instant messaging, it will be very helpful. Yes. Okay. Whoever it is, I'll just mail in this regard. I'll mail you people. You can just think about it and let me know. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So I'll stop it here. Okay then. So let's meet tomorrow at our regular time.